Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started today, I wanted to put in a plug for my brother Scott, who has his own YouTube channel, SJR Off-Road Fabrication. Scott likes to make a lot of interesting projects and fabrication, and he's been paying tribute to our family history, such as I have been. In particular, he was my Uncle Jim used to be a race car driver and had his own race cars, and he wants to build a model that's kind of patterned after some of these Skagit Speedway racers. So in this case, Scott had some old metal models that were like in a 16th scale that he was putting together some parts from, and he wanted to fabricate one of those Skagit racers from the parts that he had. So here it is, he's trying to make the frame. Here's some more parts. And actually, some of these models were actually based on Model Ts or Model As. So you can see the 4-cylinder Model A engine there in the background. So Scott wanted me to put together a small block Chevy engine that was patterned after the very popular engine for a lot of race cars. So he gave me the dimensions. And then I went online, and there's a place called Thingiverse. It's very popular among 3D printers, and I did a search on small block Chevys, and I was able to find these parts, engine blocks, headers, manifolds, transmissions, and I kind of assembled them together to what I thought was going to look like a small block Chevy. In this particular, and I'm not really familiar with the latest, but this one's got a blower on it, and these are probably an LS heads. That's a newer engine. And I wanted to have something more old school and authentic. So I went online, did another search for typical dimensions that a small block Chevy would have, and then I superimposed the 16th scale millimeters, which is what my 3D printer defaults to. And so I got the dimensions of the engine block, found a transmission that was typical of probably a 4-speed transmission, some aftermarket oil pans, the valve covers, and I started putting those all together into a new model. And the new model was another block that I made. In this case, I took the transmission, put a four-barrel carburetor on it, made a air cleaner, fan. Actually, this fan is kind of funny. This fan was a house fan, like you'd see a ceiling fan, and I kind of going to use it for maybe the model for putting together that part. And with that introduction, let's move into the shop, and you can join me on this journey of design and building. I think that first print was pretty successful. The part turned out pretty much as designed. This little bridge here underneath is part of the support, and that just keeps the filament from sagging when it's bridging across the top there, and then that part just breaks off easily. It's not part of the unit here. Okay, we're ready for a couple more prints. I put the SD card in the socket on that side. We got the menu over here. I go to print. There's a list of the different engine parts that we've made. Let's do the headers. I think they're going to be the most fun. See how long that one takes.
Yeah, that's a lot of supports. See what happens if I try to peel it apart without damaging the part inside. Oh, in fact, look, I already broke it. Here's one of the pipes here. Yeah, the supports are stronger than the part, and I know the part's kind of sensitive anyway, but this is not practical. There's a couple more of the header pipes. They do come off clean, but they break the part that I need to keep. So here's the parts from the first header run. It was so small and thin, and too much support trees, and the act of getting the support trees off, it broke apart pretty easily. Okay, now we're going to try the left header, but this time with minimum supports. This time, instead of doing the automatic supports, I added some manual ones. See how that works. Okay, let's see what this guy looks like here. Take this thing off here. That's looking much nicer. Now we can see if we can get those supports off without damaging the thin pipes. Nice. That is looking very promising. Okay, there's the finished product. According to some of the reviews, this particular bed, it's sometimes hard to get the part off. I'll give it a try. Okay. Looked good. I hope I didn't break it. Okay, let's see what we can do here. The trick is to break off the supports without breaking the part. So that's the part there that supported one of the motor mounts on the sides. That looks like it came off pretty good. That support did. Here's another support holding the carburetor block. I wonder if that was a design problem, that little keeper there to hold the valve cover was not inset down into the block enough, and it was just sitting on top and it fell off. Same with this side. I'm sure that's the case. They don't look like they're part of the block. Other than those design sites, you can see that little block. That I bet if I just pulled on it, it would just fall right off. Yeah, see, it's not even part of it. So when I put those pieces on, I didn't embed them down into the block.
Here's the full model in Tinkercad, and if we zoom in on those valve covers, let me turn a few layers off here first. you can see that sure enough, that one bar here is not attached to the block. You can see, in fact, you can see the gap in it right there. And so we need to fix that. So what I like to do when I'm working on this model is I like to just turn off everything that it's not related to what I want to work on. We'll just get down to just the bare block. And another thing I like to do is turn the block transparent, so you can see the various blocks that I've embedded into the block for other reasons. You can see this top one for the carburetor goes down. This bottom block here for the pan embeds up in. So what we need to do is we need to make this block here so that it's down inside of the block, down inside the engine block. And I can stretch this down into the block a ways. So now when we're looking at it, you can see that this block now goes down inside. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll grab this block and do the same thing. There you go. Now you can see the blocks go down into the block, and the problem should be fixed. If I were to look at this here now, there's no gap, and because we understand how we built it, the problem that we had should be gone.
Okay, now we're starting on the looks like the right hand headers. Okay, there's the finished product. Now we'll see how good it comes off the bed. Advantages with this new bed is it's magnetic and flexible, so you can just kind of peel it up like this. And then if you have to break it loose, you can kind of flex it a little bit to get the edges. See if I can grab a hold of it without breaking the part. I can hear it peeling. Okay, that was very successful print. And we'll see if we can separate it. You can tell I'm an amateur. While I was working on separating the bridge, I cracked it right there, broke that header pipe off. Other than the broken header pipe, it looks like it's a fairly successful part there.
The other problem that we had is these headers break really easy. Like you saw, I broke one off. Particularly these single bars sticking up here, they're just kind of out there, kind of flimsy. So what I'm thinking is we need to put some kind of gussets in between them to kind of connect them and strengthen them up. So the idea here is that we put this piece of metal in between like this, connecting them, strengthen them up quite a bit, and then what you do is you combine them into one piece. Make them white, and so the finished product now won't be that noticeable, I'm hoping. And then we will, next set of headers that we print, we'll have these gussets in them like this. Give that a try.
Oh wow, that's why. Not why, but we got it. Okay, there's the pan. Kind of fits right over there. Little drain plug hole there, which is actually going to be like a screw. They can hold it on. If you don't want to glue it, you can just put that little screw in there to hold the pan on. So far, it's coming together. Okay, now we're going to start valve covers. This time I'm going to print both covers at the same time. Okay, there's two valve covers. And the valve covers look like they came out pretty good. Now we'll print the transmission. Okay, there's the transmission. And I got a hole there too for putting a screw in. Attach it to the block. The reviews that I watched said that this factory bed is really sticks to the things really hard to get off. And so I got one of these aftermarket ones that have a couple different surfaces on it. I don't know which way to go here, but I'm going to try one of them, I guess, see what it does. There we go. I don't know if that's going to be a slippery surface. I was a little concerned because my printer I had before, I had trouble getting the first layer to stick, and so I don't know whether it's better to have it too sticky or too slippery. We'll see. Now that I changed the bed, my new print, I hit the calibrate, so it should probably go through a bed sensing calibration this time before it prints. At least that's what I think it's going to do. Yeah, it looks like it's testing the height of each of the, at least the corners, just in case the new bed is a different thickness than the original. So probably a good idea. Yeah, this should be the rear transmission cross member. Okay, that's good. I'd say that was about a 5-minute print. You see how sticky it is. Oh yeah, that broke off really easy. Perfect. Yeah, this should be a carburetor. Now we'll print the air cleaner. Okay, there's the air cleaner. And the air cleaner cover. Here's our first run test prints of the of each one of the kinds of parts. Now I'll go through and check all the tolerances and make any edits and move on. After breaking all 3 of the first header designs, I decided to do a little bit of reinforcing. You can see on my screen here, I'm going to put in some gussets here at the bottom, and then maybe a flange across the top to kind of hold it together. So the finished product will look kind of like that with the flange on there. And to show you how brave I am, I'm going to take the last bit of white that I have here. I've been using the yellow because I have an abundance of yellow for testing. So we're going to go ahead and thread the white on here and give it a try. Okay, here's the print starting with header, right-hand header. Okay, there's the new one. Okay, there's the finished product. I'll see how easy it is to pry it off the bed here. Oh, look at that. Pops right off. Now comes the part that I need to be careful with, and that is getting it out of the mold. I like those cracking sounds. Those are hopeful. Looking good. Look at that. Oh, no breaks so far. You can see a tint of yellow there on the base when it transitioned from the yellow filament to the white. But I think as long as the product is all white, it's going to be good. Okay, I'm going to clean that up. I call it a success. I was concerned a little bit about this web that we added here and over there, but I think for as small as this piece is when it's on the model, it's not going to be that noticeable. With the new flange on the headers, the angle that it comes into the heads is slightly different, so the new block will remedy that. But there's kind of what it looks like with the headers attached to the engine block. I think that one's probably an acceptable part. Hopefully won't be printing that one again. At least not till I run out of white. Yeah, the first gray metallic transmission just finished. That is a beautiful looking machine, thing there. Oh, nice. It's one of my first serious prints using the silver or the gray metallic. And that is nice. Okay, now we're going to go for another oil pan. And now the transmission cross member. I switched the filament over to the red, and this will be the revised engine block. See how it goes. Okay, there we are with version 3 of the engine block. Just finished printing. Here's the part I like. Broke right off. Nice. Looking pretty sharp. Breaking off the supports. So far, so good. Oh yeah, a little bit of cleanup, and that's gonna look. Here's the side that was down on the deck, but that's okay. Okay, that looking pretty sharp. Okay, it's getting kind of late in the shop. I'm getting ready to close up for the evening. Here's our what we've got so far. This time we printed each of these with a different color, so there's no paint on it here yet. I got screws in the little mounting spots, and the headers are in kind of just stuck in the holes kind of tight. You can see the drain plug on the bottom, which is the screw holding on the oil pan, and the other screw in the bottom of the cross member. And if I got the spacing right between the motor mounts and the cross member, this should sit right in the frame that it's designed for. Another part that I've kind of done trial and error is I make all these little parts here that need to connect, and I've been drilling these holes out and making them on the CAD, and I've come up with a diameter of a hole that you can print, and then I got this tap the right size, and then if you do it right, after you tap it, the screw can just thread right in there pretty easily. So now I can take the cross member, get it lined up there, put the screw in it, Once again, you can see that this is pretty small for my fingers. You get that hole started. And you get, if you have an Allen wrench the right size on this little screwdriver thing, makes it really nice, really easy to have the right specs and tools. Way better than I often do. Just an interesting thought here. I'm getting to the end of my white roll. You can kind of see it flopping there. And the printer says, what's that say? 5 more minutes to print. And let's just see how far we get. I'm thinking I'm not going to take the chance. I do just happen to have a sample roll that came with a new printer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button. Hopefully it'll pause pretty soon. Oh, I have to hit confirm. It's pausing. I got the new roll here. And I think with it paused, I can go ahead and extract out the old filament, cut the end of the 45 degrees, back in, hit the print button again, see what happens. So if I did it right, there's the new, when you buy a new printer, it comes with just a little bit of white, which is what it is. And what I just did was I opened up the nether sealed package that came with the new printer and opened it up. So we did as much as we could, and it looks good. Just to see it from a different angle, here's the printing from the end or from the side. You can see the engine block sloping up. Okay, engine block is done. Let's see what we can do with it now. Now, the first obvious change is I got this big notch in the block here. So instead of having the motor mounts cast into the same piece, I've now got a separate motor mount that it'll hang on, and then when the pan gets put across it, it'll cover that up. So it'll look like it's coming out of the side of the block, but it'll be like that. And the other change that it's not quite as obvious. Well, one is by printing it standing up like this, we don't have all those peel off marks before, so now I was able to add more detail to the front. I cast the front crank pulley in as part of this, and we've got a mount here for the water pump, and I can put the fan on it. And the part that's not obvious is I've tilted the motor back 3 degrees, which is pretty typical of these motors. You know, a lot of motors vary from like 3 to 5 degrees angle back. And I think the Chevys were mostly 3. And then, but how you can tell when you're putting an engine in is that the deck that the carburetor mounts on is supposed to be level. So I don't know if you can see it there, but it's just got a slight tilt to it now. So now when you put the carburetor on, it sits square with the deck, but that includes it with the motor tilted back 3 degrees. Just want to show you the progress that we just made in the changes. Got the front end detailed out, got the water pump. See the fan mounted on a little screw and the crank pulley. Don't mind the yellow pan. I just didn't want to print another pan because we still got another good one. The front motor mounts are now embedded through the bed. You won't see it when you're done, but that allowed me to make them gray instead of red with the rest of it. And you probably can't really see. Oh yeah, you can see it from this angle. You can just barely see that everything is at an angle. Not only is the carburetor now level with this tilted back 3 degrees, but I also cut the headers and angled them back up so the headers will be parallel with the frame instead of tilted back like the engine is. So it's coming along.
I think it's time to wind up this video before it gets too long. Just to recap, we took a concept of building a scale model of a Chevy Small Block V8 in a 16th scale. And the first thing I did was print out a bunch of test parts. In the yellow here, you can see all the different parts. And then for the second generation, we used different color filaments for different parts. And here's what that one looked like. You can see the motor mounts on the front, right? And in this design here, they were like cast into the engine block. And then for the third rev, we added more details. I got the fan on the front. We made the front motor mounts removable so that they could be altered for different size models we want to put them in. And very subtly, we also tilted the engine back 3 degrees so that it's more realistic. I got a few more details to work on, but I didn't want to add too much more to this video. But once we get one done, we'll load her up on the truck and deliver it to the customer, who in this case is my brother, Scott. I want to thank you again for watching my video. It's so fun to do this. Thanks for watching.